everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Artist Way. And my name is Ginger. For those of you that have not met me before, I am a rural artist based in rural Highlands, Scotland. So, yes, good old Scottishness, whatever that is. And I am working my way through The Artist Way. Now, we are on week 2. So, if you haven't seen week 1, please see it by the card up here. And we are now going to talk about week 2. So, week 2, when you're kind of working through the information and kind of what I refer to as the chit chat at the start of each week before you actually get down to the tasks. And it's basically about Julia setting us up for those tasks. And in this week, it was all about time management, giving yourself time, looking at what tasks you do, creating goals, and also about how your time and what you spend your time on can be also affected by other people. She talks a lot about crazy makers, people who are what I tend to see as change catalysts. So people who create situations and scenarios around themselves that force change in other people in a way that isn't always good but isn't always bad. It kind of depends on the person that they're affecting. And a crazy maker themselves, in the way that Julia describes them, is somebody who is almost very self-centered, but not necessarily intentionally. They always have all the right ideas at the right time. That doesn't mean it's their ideas. It could be somebody else's ideas, but it becomes their focus and they kind of take over. And the chaos that then surrounds them and the kind of craziness that surrounds them in the way they kind of work, the way they interact with other people, and that effect, that kind of almost domino effect they have on other people around them. And how for creatives, that's not necessarily a good thing. We need a bit more structure and stuff in our life, and that's not always what you're going to get if you're working around a crazy maker. Everything tends to be focused on them, including your time, and therefore you don't get to create in the way that you need to be a creative. You're creating to their rules, you're working to their time, and it doesn't work. So task 1, let's start with task 1. Task 1 was about reasserting ourselves with the principles. Now, these principles are set out fairly early on in the book by Julia, and they're her kind of almost spiritual creativity principles, basic principles of and beliefs of kind of within yourselves and your creativity. And the task 1 was affirmative reading. So basically going back and reminding yourself of these principles and reminding yourself to try your best to kind of work to those principles, which really kind of surround supporting yourself and your creativity, and also your mindset about your creativity, and making sure that you are getting into the right mindset. So in order to be able to kind of do that, and also with my eyesight and stuff, I decided to create a copy of those principles. I have tweaked them slightly. I'm not big up on spirituality and all that sort of stuff. I wouldn't really call myself an atheist, but my beliefs are, I have beliefs, but I'm not in a religion. So I'm more kind of Wiccan, I suppose, Druid, kind of along those lines. And therefore the kind of, she does talk a lot about God as the creator and spirituality and that sort of thing. And so, I'm not going to knock her for that. That's absolutely her choice. But I'm kind of, in the book, start of the book, she actually says about that. She says about how, if that's not your thing, then, try to take it on a route that's more you. And for me, it's more about nature and the elements and that all working together. So I've kind of tweaked the principles, the wording of the principles ever so slightly to kind of work more for me and my beliefs. So I'm going to show you what I created. So here is my list of principles, and I'm going to read from this sheet, but I will stick up here so you guys can see it. So number 1, creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. Well, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. There's a lot of creativity in life regardless. Even if you aren't specifically set out on a creative path, your life will involve some level of creativity regardless, and that is just a part of life. and a part of who we are. It's just some of us want to take that a little step further and make that more of our life, do more creativity, because that's what we need to kind of fulfill ourselves. There is an underlying indwelling creative force influencing all of life, including ourselves, which, yeah, absolutely. Creativity does influence us in certain ways, and we don't realize it sometimes. When we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the Creator's creativity within us and our lives. Yeah. 4, we are ourselves creations, and we in turn are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves, which as an artist is absolutely what I do. I be creative for me. Fair enough. Creativity is nature's gift to us. Using our creativity is our gift back to nature, which, you know, I work with a lot of materials which are nature born. Obviously, most of us are working with pigments, and a lot of pigments are natural minerals. I use charcoal, which is carbonized plant materials. It's all very much that we're creating images of nature from nature, which I think is absolutely wonderful. The refusal to be creative is self-will and is counter to our true nature. So we can't help being creative. Creativity is in our nature regardless, even if we're not artists or creatives. You know, you could be a scientist or a football player. There is still a level of creativity in you regardless. When we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to nature, which I think is absolutely true. I love going out and standing in the woods and painting, and being on the riverbanks and painting, and I just feel very much one with nature when I do it. As we open our creative channel to nature, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. It is safe to open ourselves up to greater and greater creativity. Our creative dreams and yearnings come from within. As we move towards our dreams, we move towards being whole. And that is the final basic principle. And I think there is a lot of that in what we do, but sometimes we don't always have the time, the space, or the mental capacity to actually really follow through on that. And I think when we get the time and the chance and opportunity to follow our dream, we should do. We should always do. And that really will make you feel whole. So that's the basic principles, and the task is to read them regularly so that we can remind ourselves of, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is the kind of effect it can have on us. So we'll put that to one side. Task 2. Where does your time go? I'm going to switch to me and my desk, and we will continue that task and that question right here.
So this is task 2 of my week 2, and I am to look at where does my time go. So how much time do I actually spend on the things I want to spend it on, the things that will improve my artwork, the things that will help, or the things that kind of I do to kind of get in the way. So how dry are these? They're fairly dry, so we'll do this now. So I won't turn it around. List the 5 major activities this week. So we're gonna do Amdram, because I'm making props, printing script, and starting to work out a breakdown of set moves and stuff for Panto. I'm gonna put brackets. Panto. Other thing that I've spent a lot of time on this week is house viewings. Still trying to sell the house. And house viewings take up a lot of time. You've got a couple of hours of cleaning, moving things out the way, especially with the artwork and stuff in the dining room at the moment as my setup. I have to take a lot of that down and put that away. It's just irritating. Obviously, I have done some paintings this week. Cooking and cleaning, because we've done a lot of that this week. I've done nothing on the volunteering work I'm supposed to be doing this week. And allotment. I've spent a lot of time at the allotment. We're just coming to the end of our main season, so I'm going to put harvesting. So it's nice to be able to just get out and do a little bit of something, just to get out of the house. It's literally a 2-minute walk from my house, and then, you know, it's not, I'm not overexerting or anything, so it's great just to be able to do that. So take sheet, draw a circle. Inside that circle, place the topics you need to protect. I think it just means general topics, like topics of things I want to do, topics of tasks, topics of thoughts, topics of people, and just general collective topics. So, right, so let's draw a circle. That is not a great circle, but it's a circle. It's still a circle. I'm just going to check that you guys can still see. Yes, you can. I have drifted slightly, that's normal. Right, and place topics that you need to protect. So, painting time. That's a good topic. I need to protect. Sketching time. There's another one. Editing. So all my videos and stuff. I'm just gonna put videos. I know what that means. Painting, sketching, editing. Exploring. Exploring new media. Okay. What else do I need to do? Submission time. I know this is lots of times. Submission. How about I just put submissions, because it's a bit more than that. I need to. I don't give enough of my own time for that, and then I leave it to the last minute, and it's not always great. Planning. That's another one I'm not very good at. Exhibitions. Allotment. I don't spend enough time down there at all. And the cats as well. And my health, put that right in the middle. And husband, holidays, I just don't have enough. Mum and dad, I'm running out of room. Mum and dad, my brother, my sister, and family. I'll just put sister and family. Right, I think I should probably stop there. Place the names of those you find to be supportive, but she doesn't say where. Place them where? In the circle? Well, that's funny, because the people that support me are a lot of the people I've already put in the circle. Oh, Mark and Mel. Mo and Mike. That's my auntie and uncle. Mark and Mel, Mo and Mike. Actually, just the whole Bips gang. They're just great. They love what I do, and they're so supportive, which is amazing. Bips is the Burnham Institute Players, so that's the local amateur dramatic group that I work with, and they're just absolutely amazing. A really, really supportive group of people. Slightly crazy, but then I suppose you've got to really have that in Amdrams, don't you? So outside the circle, place the names of those you must be self-protective around just now. So sometimes my husband. Work, I'll just class that as a collective group of people. Who else? Random critics on YouTube. Helpful but not helpful. Thanks, people. I do appreciate that pretty much most of you are amazing and really supportive, and I love reading your comments. But occasionally there is the one or two people that just like to spam or make comments that aren't always helpful and aren't really critiquing at the same time. It's just nitpicking, and that I just find sad, because it's not always helpful. there isn't really a lot of people around me at the moment because I'm off permanently ill. I'm not working. I'm at home quite an awful lot, so there isn't really a lot of people around me at the moment. So, I mean, some of these are big groups of people, like BIPs and work, the volunteering work that I do. I'll put that there, actually. Volunteering, because they're not interested in that. Sometimes the husband on certain topics where he thinks I'm either mad or spending too much time on something, or I'll do something that actually makes my health worse, rather than kind of taking a step back and kind of protecting my health. But yeah, he's on both sides of the circles for that. You know, he's well-meaning and I love him for it, but at the same time, sometimes they can be kind of counterproductive to what you need. That is the 5 things I've spent the most time on this week, is these things, and the kind of topics that I need to protect on what I want to do, and kind of protect for me, and the kind of people that kind of impact that both in a positive way and a negative way. So let's put no, we haven't got room to put positive and negative, but you know what I mean. Negative on the outside, positive on the inside. So turn that over. From the list 20 things you enjoy doing. So let's list 20 things. So number 1. In fact, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Oh, 20. 20 is a lot. 20 is a big number. Well, obviously, art. For those of you that don't know, I reached a professional level at playing the flute, and I don't really play it anymore, but I really want to get back into it at some point. Just it's difficult being when you're not able to breathe properly. Art, playing the flute, baking. I like baking. I hate cooking, but I like baking. I can bake anything. I did 6 years of making wedding cakes and was very good at it, but it was very stressful, and I decided it wasn't really what I wanted to go into long term. But cooking I cannot do. I cannot manage more than 1 pan on a hob, otherwise it's a disaster. Art, playing flute, baking, cats, cruises. Something I didn't think I would ever get into, and saw that as mostly a old people's, no offense to some people, but an older people's type holiday. And I did my first one for my 40th birthday, and for me, and because of my health, it was absolutely amazing. And also as a celiac, it's brilliant to have somewhere I know where I'm safe to eat and that they will cater for me, and I don't have to worry about that if I'm like staying in a hotel and going out, having to eat out at night in wherever we are. And also basically the hotel took me to lots of destinations rather than me having to bunny hop from hotel to hotel to get to destinations. So I absolutely love that. Art, playing flute, baking, cats, cruises. Making props. Oh, can't spell. Making props. I am currently still working on my 6 foot wide giant pumpkin. I will put a picture of that up at some point on the channel so you guys can have a good laugh at my giant pumpkin. For those of you who don't know, we're doing Cinderella the pantomime this year, and obviously it's Cinderella, so we need a pumpkin. I'm making a pumpkin. I'm also making some spiders as well. More on that later. Making props, just crafting in general. Making things with clay, with Play-Doh, with paper, with string and glue. Just, I like making things. Crafting. I like pottery. I wish I could do more of it, but my skin doesn't like it as much as I like to. Horse riding, can't do it because I'm somewhat allergic to horses, but I did have a go. I suffered greatly for many days afterwards, but it was probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and maybe we'll find a way of being able to kind of manage my allergies so that I could do it again, even if it's just once more in my lifetime. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I like playing pool. I used to play it with my brother, and snooker as well. So let's do pool / snooker with my brother, and that was absolutely amazing. Used to love doing that. I like to swim. My skin doesn't like swimming as much as I like swimming, but it's also really good for my breathing as well. So I really like to do that. Reading, and I'll specifically put reading fantasy books because they are my favourite genre. I also like sci-fi as well, but I like the fantasy more. The allotment. I like the allotment and the people there and everything and the kind of community that is. Growing things. Or just growing plants, because I grow an awful lot of weeds as well, but you know, they come hand in hand, don't they, right? And a weed could be classed as a flower, right? I don't want anyone to argue with me on that one, but if it's pretty, then it's a flower. I don't care if it's a weed. What else? Come on, I've got 5 to go. 5 to go. I've got 6 to go. I can't count. 6 to go. Come on, come on, come on. What else do I like doing? I like drinking tea. I like dunking biscuits in my tea. I like mac and cheese. It's one of my favourites. It's even better with steak. Just don't ask. Cheese and steak is definitely a thing. And don't get me started on pineapple. I am a big fan of pineapple on pizza. Oh, I don't know how to spell this. Crochet. I can't knit to save my life. Accordingly, 2 sticks and wool is just more than I can handle, but 1 stick and wool I can handle fine. I have no idea why, but I can crochet. Scottish trad music. I play various pipes and whistles. And I absolutely love Scottish music. And one more thing. What else do I like? Well, it says in theory this should have been like enjoyed doing, but you know what? I can't do everything. And also doing, most of these are doing. They're all doing. Oh, of course. The other thing that I do a lot of, playing computer games. Sad as that sounds, I like a lot of strategy games. And so does my husband. We'll often play epic strategy games together that last a whole weekend. It's just a really good way of us relaxing. Right, so there we go. 20 doing things. Love that. Right. From the list above, write down 2 favourite things that you have avoided that could be this week's goals. From the list above, write down 2 favourite things that you've avoided that could be this week's goals. Okay. Let's do this week's goals. Let's give that some colour. What colour shall we make this week's goals? We'll do a nice blue. Oh, okay, 2-tone. Blue and orange it is. Unexpected, but cool at the same time. Right. This week's goals. Just 2 things. I know, I haven't read any of my husband's working book or any of my ongoing fantasy collection at all this week. I've just not read anything, and usually it's my go-to wind down, and I just haven't done any this week. Reading a fantasy book. Let's just set down 1 hour. 1 hour goal. I've set aside some time for that. Making props. I've set aside time to finish the pumpkin next week, so I'm not going to work on that. Crochet, I could do some. I don't know where it all is at the moment because we've had to pack so much away for the viewings, so probably not a good idea. Playing the flute. I get really nervous about playing any of my instruments in this house because we're a townhouse. It's just really difficult to kind of, like, we've got neighbours on every side, we've got a dentist below us. It's just impossible for us to you know, not end up with noise complaints if I'm practicing. So yeah, I think when I've got a detached house and a nice big garden where I can distance myself, I think that'll be a lot easier. So that will have to wait. The cats, obviously, no. Horse riding, definitely not just going to happen, and neither's the pool and snooker. Dumpling, biscuits and tea. I can do that at the same time as reading. So let's include biscuits and tea. So we can do that. Oh, I've got a very small basil plant on the go at the moment, bought from a supermarket, and you can generally buy small herb plants from most big supermarkets in the UK, but they don't generally thrive. So the husband bought me a packet of basil seeds to add to the pot, because they're in quite a, not a massive pot, but they're in a pot big enough for more than one plant. So I am going to plant some more basil from seed. Perfect. And that is another 1 hour goal, because I've got to find the seeds first, prep them, and then get them done. And then we'll see. They usually take a couple of days, about 7 days to sprout. So actually, I'll see if I can get a clip of them and how far they've got to. Should look cool. Okay. So that's the two things I really want to be, they're not massive. I don't want, I'm not going to say paint an epic painting this week, because I don't want to do that. I just want to keep myself to some smaller goals that I know that are just some me time away from everything and everything else, hopefully.
Right, welcome back to the sofa, and we are on task 6. Now task 6 is return to the list of imaginary lives from last week, add 5 more lives. Again, check to see if you could be doing bits and pieces of these lives. So, 5 more imaginary lives. Well, what could I have been doing? A professional dressage. No, I want dressage. Yeah, actually a professional horse rider, specifically doing dressage, because I think I'd just be too scared to do jumping. But yeah, the whole being able to move with the horse, maybe some liberty work, that would have been absolutely amazing. And unfortunately, I'd never be able to actually do any bits of that in my life because I'm allergic to horses. But maybe once my health is fully sorted and we've kind of worked on the allergies because they've been getting better over the years, that maybe I can do one horse ride again, maybe just a hack through the countryside. But there's a local stables nearby who are very good with accessibility and stuff like that. So I think that's absolutely something I will want to have a go at. So yeah, thrilled with that. Oh, what else would I'd love to be a professional cheesemaker. I have absolutely no idea why. And to most of you, this is probably absolutely crazy, but I don't know. I love cheese, and I've always been really curious about how it's made, how it ends up flavored, the different types of flavor depending on how it's cured, whether you use additives, soft and creamy, sharp cheeses with really, interesting fruits like the Wensleydale with apricots, although my favorite one is Wensleydale with cranberries. Just how is it made? How is it produced? What goes into it? How long does it take? The forms and molds, the splitting of the curds and whey, adding things like rennet. Just, it always really interested me, and I've never tried making some at home, but I'd love to do that. So maybe I should just get a cheese making kit and just try making a bit of cheese at home for myself. I'd have to share it with my husband, but mostly for myself, with a small portion to him. So yeah, maybe actually from that imaginary life, there is a little something there that I could do. I don't think I would ever take it any further, but it's something I could do. I'd always liked to start my own brewery. I don't drink. I can't, and I've never really been able to drink a lot because of all the meds. So, it's not that I don't fully drink. Like, I'll have some Baileys at Christmas or something. But other than that, I don't really drink. But I love making beer and ales, mostly ales actually, for my husband. Just the process and the fermenting and just kind of the tweaks. It's almost like cheese making, but alcoholic, really, isn't it? I think I like a lot of those kind of craft style foods. Like I'd love to open a bread bakery. I wouldn't be able to eat a single thing. In fact, I'd have to wear gloves continuously because I'd never be able to handle the wheat flour, but I love making bread. So there's another thing. Wow, I'm making a whole entire ploughman's lunch by this sounds of it. What else would I'd love to have been a florist and doing these beautiful big bouquets and layouts and display pieces for things like weddings and stuff. I just think they're so beautiful, and to be able to work with a natural element which is just has its own natural beauty, I think would be absolutely amazing. I am not overly happy with stuff that's grown out of season, forced growing, greenhouses, the amount of energy it takes, nutrients it takes to actually produce flowers out of season. Totally against that. But being a seasonal florist, focusing on the best of every season, I think would be absolutely amazing. Now, I'll never be able to go into that, but I do regularly get discounted shop flowers that are kind of from the local supermarkets that are going out of date, and so they've discounted them, and I'll just rescue them and keep them going for as long as possible, and things like that. And I always tend to like to do that around Christmas as well, just to add a little brightness into the house when there's not a lot else growing. We have window boxes, so I love to grow. What else? What have we had? We've had fuchsias, we've had impatiens, petunias, begonias. We've got mini crocuses, mini irises, all in these window boxes, and they grow different times, different years. So at the moment, the impatient and fuchsias are in. They will be, and not hydrangeas, geraniums, because I love those. They'll be coming out, and my winter pansies will be going in within the next week and a half. So they will look stunning pretty much right the way through until about end of January, beginning of February, where we let them die back by themselves, because at that point all the spring bulbs which are in the bottom of the boxes start to come up, and that's when we get our crocuses and our mini irises and things like that. So yeah, there is some stuff to do with flowers in my life, but not as a florist. I don't specifically grow flowers to pick to put in a vase in my house. Well, no, that's not true, is it? I do that. I have peonies, which I specifically grow so that I can cut them and put the heads in vases in the house, because they smell, they're all fragrant ones, and they're just, the smell is unbelievable. They're just so fragrant. Yeah, I forgot about those. Maybe I want to do more, but we've got to wait until we've got a garden. But when we do have a garden, I will be growing absolutely loads. So I expect to see loads of peonies in my future. Paintings, in the photos, in my studio, just everywhere. Peonies everywhere. Anyway, I definitely have done more than enough on my imaginary lives. So we are going to jump back to my desk for number 7, which is our life pie.
Right, we are now on task 7. So let's do a big 7 here. And this is my life pie. Draw a circle, divide it into 6 pieces of pie. Right. It's kind of a circle. Let's do a dot in the middle. 6 pieces. So let's do straight down, and then oh no, that wasn't 6, was it? This is why you should do this with a pencil. Anyway, there's our 6. Label one piece spirituality. Fine. Spirit, because I'm not spelling spirituality and I can't even get my mouth around it. Exercise. I can't spell that either. C-I-S-E. Another play. Let's try and make it look like the word play. Work. Friends. Romance / adventure, or both together. Place a dot in each slice at the degree to which you are fulfilled in that area. Outer rim indicates great, inner circle not so great. So spirit, kind of refreshing my soul, being in my soul, being one with my soul. I don't have a soul. No offense to any of those that are really religious. I'm not religious. I come from a big clan and coven of Wiccans, and completely different thing. But if I can still make that apply in some way. Am I fulfilled at the moment? Am I feeling a bit more one with nature? I think so. I've done a lot more work down the allotment and sitting, you know, especially with sketching for week one, going down to the trees. The trees are hundreds of years old. The sycamore that I sketched is 300 years old and the Burnham oak is 700 years old. So they have been part of the land for so long. They have seen everything around them move and change. It's just amazing when you think about it. So I think actually spirit and internal nature and just me and the whole being, my well-being and mental well-being, I think actually is all right. It's not perfect because the illness is always there and pulling me down when I'm not paying attention. But, you know, it's been a good couple of weeks. So let's say it's here. So let's draw a nice big dot there. So there, right. Exercise is pretty low. I struggle to exercise because it knocks my breathing out, so that's not helpful. Play, fairly moderate amount of play. When I don't feel up to doing anything, I have my games plus the time that I spend playing war games against my husband. It helps. Work. Ooh. Am I fulfilled in my work? Not quite. I'm getting there, and I think the more I get to kind of develop my artwork and develop the work I'm doing with the art centre and stuff like that, I think the more out that will get. Friends, absolutely. They're just wonderful. Even when they drag us out to the pub. Romance and adventure. We've had some adventure. You know, we went down south and spent some time. We saw my sister. My sister lives outside of St. Louis in Missouri in the US. And I only see her, well, the last time I saw her was about 7.5, 8 years ago. You know, and the children, her 3 kids were really young when they were with us. And we went on a group holiday together to a holiday camp. And this time they came down, they stayed in another holiday camp. We went down south to join them. And they stayed in the holiday camp in our original hometown, so where my parents live, and my brother dropped in with his daughter, and my aunt and uncle dropped in with my 2 cousins, and my cousins had their husbands and their children, and it just, yeah, it was really great because we went to Wookey Hole Caves in Somerset, which is an amazing underground cave system that's all lit up with underground lakes and stuff. It's just absolutely amazing. I'll insert a couple of pictures here so you guys can see what that looks like. It's absolutely just incredible. I wish it was longer and they had more of the caves open, but what you are able to go through is just absolutely amazing. The kids had an absolute ball. And then John and I, the kids and that, went back to the holiday camp. We went off to Wells and we stopped at Wells Cathedral. So here's some pictures of Wells Cathedral. We had an amazing walk around the cathedral. I stopped in a couple of the side chapels, and a kind of lecture amphitheatre built out of stone, where I sang a couple of old Gregorian chants, and it just sounded amazing with the kind of reverb and echo in there. Husband didn't video that, but he did video a choir that was rehearsing there at the same time, so I'll put a clip here for them. And it just, yeah, so there's definitely been a lot of adventure recently. So I'd say at the moment, is my adventure fulfilled? I mean, when I look back over the year, we've had a holiday. We've had 2 holidays. We've seen my sister and her family, who we haven't seen in ages. We've been on TV. We've been filmed. We're on TV in January for my art, which is even better. I've been able to progress my art. I have started helping with the local arts centre and doing more of that, which I've always wanted to do, you know, and now John's got his laptop. We are able to go out a lot more. We've been adventuring out a bit more so that I can go and paint from the back of our car, just in random locations, and just going out on those sorts of adventures and exploring places. So yeah, I'd say my adventure has been definitely fulfilled this year, and I think it's also given me a lot more opportunities to paint. It's given me a lot of inspiration. Our trip to Killin with his parents and my parents-in-law, we went to Killin and the Falls of Dockart, just outside towards Stirling, just at the edge of Perthshire, and that was stunning. And as you've seen a number of paintings from there, and I've still got more to come for you guys. So you'll see more of Killen in the paintings later. But all of that's I would say, yeah, let's mark our adventure as pretty fulfilled. So what you're supposed to do with these sorts of weird spiky charts is join the dots. And it should kind of show you the proportional amount of how fulfilled you are in each area, in theory. And it will also show you where I'm lopsided. Now we know I'm lopsided in this area, in the exercise area, because of my health, and there isn't a lot I can do about that. I am trying to do some bits and pieces and just kind of improve that best I can in certain ways, and it was working for a while, and then my health got worse a couple of weeks ago, so we're working back through getting that back up. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully that'll work out. I love the fact that Julia has referred to this as a tarantula, and I suspect that other people's are slightly more spiky than mine. Those people that generally work full time and are trying to practice an art career on the side probably are going to be a little bit more spiky than me. So we can see what areas we need to improve on. We need to improve our work, we need to improve our exercise, we need to improve our spirit. That's fair enough. Right, number 8 is list 10 tiny changes. So I'm going to put number 8 here, and we want it in reference to this. There's 10 changes you'd like to make for yourself from the significant to the small, or vice versa. I would like to. So I would like to visit a mountain for some more inspiration. Fair enough. I would like to have a family Christmas with my family. We haven't done that in a while. I would like to sell more art, which kind of goes with the next one. I would like to buy and try more supplies. Another project that I've got going on, which kind of works in line with the Making My Own Pastels project, is I would like to make my own charcoal. And I want to, the plan is to be able to combine the pigments and the charcoals to make sets of the sort of more neutral colours that I tend to like working with. And they will be a charcoal pigment mix, which is pretty unusual. A bit like the tinted charcoals from Derwent. They won't be so bulky, but they'll also be different shades of certain colours, some darks, some lights. Pretty much all of them will be neutrals because of the charcoal in it. So it's going to be a really fun project, and the first part of it is going to be making the charcoal, which means we are going to be digging a hole in the allotment once most of our harvesting is done. We will clear the borders, we will dig a hole, we will line it and then put it in it, and then we will bake some dried out wood, which I've got specifically, and we will carbonize it and turn it into charcoal. So stay tuned for that one later in the year as we get closer to winter. It's going to be fun. We will definitely be toasting marshmallows over it while we're making charcoal. So how many have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would like to bake a cake. I haven't baked a cake in a while. Husband's been doing a lot of baking every other weekend, and I just feel an urge to bake something. I would like to sell the house. That would be a big achievement for us and a positive move, so it would help us move towards our dream of our single story cottage, which would be better for my eyesight, not having so many stairs, having our own garden, having my own outdoor space where I can site a proper studio, and then you guys can watch me build and set up my own studio, which would be fun. How many have we got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would like to paint huge. I really want to paint something big, really big. The problem with pastel is it's very difficult to get big surfaces, so I'm going to have to create my own surface. but that's fine with some of the stuff I've been doing anyway. So, but that's going to be a pretty big project. So, yeah, we'll have to work on that one. I would like to make fudge. I have a Victorian copper jam pan, and I used to make what I refer to as dry crumbly fudge. So for those that are in the UK, especially those that are in the UK in England, I know quite a few of you may have heard of Rowley's Fudge Pantry. There's a lot of them based down in the southwest, which is where I come from. I grew up around this fudge. It's a very dry, crumbly fudge with an absolute amazing aroma and taste of just the way the sugar's cooked with the butter and cream and stuff. It's unbelievable. You can't get it anywhere else. Rowley's are the only ones that really properly make fudge in the original style like that, and I learnt from them how to do it. And I used to make fudge, and I stopped a long time ago, and the pan's just hanging up on the wall. It's very pretty, but I want to make fudge again, so maybe I should. I'm not going to show you that because it's pretty dangerous and you get really severely burnt, but I'll let you know if I succeed. I will not be sending it out in the post to anybody. So is that my 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more to go. These are tiny, supposed to be 10, I would like to tiny changes, and I'm not very good at tiny changes, so I'm trying to plan a bit more and hoping this will help. I would like to sketch every day. I really want to get more into sketching a lot more, and then that will help me with producing the bigger paintings. So something I really would like to do, and I think actually it would kind of, you have to sit and relax when you do it, and I think that's going to be really good. So I need to select one of these to make a goal for this week. What should I do? I would like to buy try more art supplies. I've still got some money that left over from buying the easel from the sale of that piece of art in a recent exhibition. So I have enough left to maybe try buying 1 or 2 individual pastels from either a different pastel artist that I don't have. I don't have any Diane Townsend at all. I don't have any Terry Ludwigs. There's a few others I don't have as well, so it might be nice to maybe splash out and get something. I've never used charcoal powder. I've never used liquid charcoal, which I'd quite like to buy and have a go at. And I'd love to get some more granulating watercolors as well. I think they're really beautiful, and they create such a great texture that they're great for underpaintings for pastel. So yeah, I'll add that to my list and maybe take a look and see what I can do. Right, we will now move on to question 9. Back to me on the sofa.
Right, so we are at the end of our tasks and what is the accumulation of everything that I have done this week, and this is our weekly check-in. So, number 1, how many days did you do your morning papers? 0. Now there is a reason for that, and that is because the morning pages don't work for me. My mind is just too much, like it's a constant chatterbox in the corner of my mind, just constantly going, but most of it isn't affirmations or blurts. It's not critiquing, it's not commenting. It's literally just ideas, almost constant generation of ideas. I see something and I think, oh, I could do that with that. I see something else and I go, oh, I could do that with that. I could do that. I could do that. Or I see something and my brain goes, oh, if you buy some clay, I could make myself a proper water cup with brush holder built in. So that's now gone onto my list of things I want to do. So rather than morning pages, what I have done is I have switched to Google Keep. Now Google Keep is like a post-it note section in Google, on Google Drive, and every morning I spend half an hour while having breakfast basically pulling those ideas that are running around my head out and onto paper. And once I've done that, my mind can go, whoop, gone. Don't need to think about that anymore because it's now on paper. Usually what happens is these ideas that my head's generating almost continuously, they come and go. Like they come and I go, oh, that's actually a really good idea. I could do that. And then they're gone. And I don't remember them. I literally do not remember them. I sat there yesterday for half an hour going, I could have sworn I had an idea on what to do with this thing that I'd just pulled out of my drawer that I'd forgotten I had. And actually, I found this way more, I'm not going to say therapeutic, but mentally stabilizing, which also sounds a bit odd. So let me clarify. What I mean by that is when you get up in the morning, I don't know about you guys, but my head is full of stuff. It's stuff of things I need to do today, things I need to do today that I should have done yesterday that I procrastinated and therefore didn't do, things that I've forgotten to do. And then in amongst all that is, ooh, you've just seen this. Why don't you have to do this? Especially if I'm sat in bed browsing through Facebook or any of the social media platforms or the news. I tend to pick up ideas that I shouldn't have. So it's a good, for me, it's like a brain dump. Like literally, I take all this, put it down on paper. That way I'm getting loads and loads of ideas for future work and future idea generation. And I'm taking it out of here, which means my mind then calms to a point where I can focus on what I want to do and then actually go and do it rather than procrastinating. And I found that actually has been really, really helpful. So yes, I've given up the morning pages and I've swapped it for a post-it note board where I spend half an hour every morning over breakfast just taking stuff out of my head and sticking it on the board. It doesn't matter how ridiculous or random it is, because every now and then I go back to the board and I glance through it and see if there's anything interesting up there. And I find stuff that I'm like, what, eh? And I take it out and bin it. So yes, I am now doing that every day and I find that really, really helpful. So every day is the answer to number one for my check-in, just not morning papers. We'll just call it my ideas stickies. We'll call it that for the time being. Did I do my artist date? Well, let's take a look. So yes, I did do an artist date this week. I went down to the allotment and nobody else really dropped into the allotment. So it was just me the entire time, sitting under a tree, painting what was in front of me. And it was just half an hour of just that, not thinking, just painting what was in front of me. And yeah, it was really good just to, I'm not going to say commune with nature, but just chill basically, and just focus on something different. So that was really good. I also took the gouache set with me rather than my charcoals. So it was more of a kind of painting sketch session. And yeah, that was something slightly different, but it was really good fun. So yes, I did do an artist date this week. How did it feel? It felt very calming, I think, just because there was nobody else around. There was some divers doing some interesting thing behind me, but I could tune out of that just to focus on the allotment and painting it. So yeah, calming. That's a lovely word, calm. 3, were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Well, it's not really a recovery that we're going through, but we're doing this more as a focus. But any issues? I think just generally, I'm being pulled pillar to post. I had 2 house viewings this week, and I think as my phone went off in the middle of recording this, that means I've probably got a third. And I know I've got one next week, and it means that I'm having to work around these house viewings, tidy my stuff away, clear everything out, all my studio stuff, decam the easel. The easel's staying, it just stays in the corner of the window, but all the rest of my art stuff kind of gets packed away, put back on a chair with a cloth covered over it. Any paintings is then stored in the rack, and it's just like every single time I have to do that, and it's not even irritating. It's almost soul destroying, because you get yourself into that motivation, you get yourself into the place, and then you have to stop, pack it all away, and the mental effort to take it all back out again, set it all back up, and then finish that painting. it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work. So I'm now very careful about trying to plan when I'm starting paintings, when I know I've got a big enough gap between house viewings, but I know that this issue will go away once the house is sold. So that's what I'm focusing on that one, is just, this is temporary, it's annoying, but the benefit and goal out of that is that we are able to buy the house that we really want with a garden and the space for my studio, so that I can move it out of the house and really focus down on it. So yeah, it's an issue, but I've just got to keep thinking there is going to be a positive out of this at the end. So folks, that was week 2. There's some interesting stuff coming up for week 3, so stay tuned for that, and a trip to one of my favourite little coffee shops as well. So I will see you all for week 3. If you have any questions about my progress on The Artist's Way, or just any questions in general about The Artist's Way, please feel free to put them in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you all soon for another video. Ta-ta for now.